So today is October 28th, and on this day, back in 2001, I was initiated into the sorority Zeta Phi Beta. And 5 years later, in 2006, October of 2006, I renounced that sorority because I obeyed God. God called me out of the sorority. I obeyed him and I renounced. And here we are again on another October 28th. So I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about idolatry. So, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 7 says, "Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry." So, if you know what the word flee means, it doesn't mean just casually walk away. It doesn't mean just kind of, jog away. It To flee something means to run as if your life depends on it. And the Bible is telling us to flee from idolatry. So, what exactly is idolatry? So I am looking here in my Blue Letter Bible app, which has a built in concordance that tells me what the Greek definition of the word idolatry is. And we're looking at the Greek definition because this is the New Testament, First Corinthians, and the New Testament was translated from the Greek language. So we have the word idolatry here, the definition in the Greek. It's the worship of false gods. It's formal sacrificial feats that are held in honor of false gods. And it says, in the plural sense, it's vices that spring from idolatry and are peculiar to it. It's image worship, either literally or figuratively. So, what does this mean? This means that idolatry is not just bowing down in front of a statue like most people think it is. Idolatry is also image worship, literally, meaning physically bowing down in front of something, or figuratively, meaning it's something that can be done in the mind. It's something that can be done in the heart. So if something takes up more of your time than God does, that thing is your idol. If a person takes up more of your time than God does, if you obey something or someone more than you obey God, that thing or that person is your idol. Now let's think about sororities and fraternities. The sorority that I was in, I know that we sang songs, we did chants, we sang songs that pledged all of our love and all of our souls to the sorority. Something that the Bible tells us is only reserved for God. He is the only one that should get all of our love and all of our souls. So let's go over to another scripture here, which details how we are supposed to love God. We see in Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 3, the end of that verse says, "Love the Lord your God with all of your heart and all of your soul." These are the things that when I was a member of that particular sorority, I sang many chants saying that I was loving the sorority with all of my heart and all of my soul. But Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 3 tells us that that is something I'm only supposed to reserve for God. That's the Old Testament. So then if you go over to the New Testament, to Matthew chapter 22, verse 37, Jesus says, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind." I don't see anything in here about loving a sorority with all of its false deities, with all of its gods, lowercase g gods. I don't see anything about loving them with all of my heart and with all of my soul. Yet this is what I was chanting as a member of the sorority. So I could go into a whole lot more detail than that, but I will say this. If there are any of you who are confused about how these fraternities and sororities, any of these Greek organizations, whether it's D9 or whether it's any other secret society, if you are confused how these organizations have you participating in idolatry, I invite you to do some research. Look into the oaths you made, look into the rituals you've done. And I want you to think on this. Did any of that glorify God in any way? I know that people talk about the community service. I know I had somebody comment on one of my videos the other day saying that She had done more community service as a member of a sorority than she ever had in any church. And while that's incredibly sad, it doesn't matter because the organization itself, it doesn't matter how much good it's doing, if at its root it was founded in idolatry, if at its root it is giving worship and loyalty to a false lowercase g God, it doesn't matter how much good you do in the organization, it is still a slap in the face of God. Have a great day.